stitches, colors play. Find your joy in a brand new way. Breathe in peace, let worries fade. Enjoy your time as you create. With every color, stitch and line, a gentle space to heal and wind. Come join us in the Arts and Wellness Cafe.
Well, hello and welcome to today's Arts and Wellness Cafe. I'm so glad that you could join me and spend some time. The Arts and Wellness Cafe is just a space where you can come, you can relax, have me on in the background, chattering away, and just kind of, you know, it's about nurturing, it's about restoration, it's about just being in a space where you can just take a breath. Yeah, take a breath and maybe even find some things that are interesting of you. Anyway, so what are you drinking? It's different. But for me now, the most important thing is about nurturing. So when I say what you're drinking, I'm talking like bush tea. We're going out in the garden, we go and get some stuff and we look at, you know, you can look at their properties, you boil them. The things that I'm using currently at the moment is, well, what I had today was mango leaf, soursop leaf, noni, and then I had a bay leaf in there. Other things that I drink throughout the week is rosemary. And funnily enough, I have found that my mental clarity has improved with, I've been drinking rosemary on a daily basis, not specifically for that, but because I enjoy the flavour. And I bought this plant, which I think I shared previously. This is my 5th one, and the rest of them just died. They didn't last. And I think the thing was that I kept it in the pot that I had bought it in and didn't put it in fresh soil, and you know, it wasn't getting any nutrients from the soil that it was in. So this particular one, I have done that, and I will show you a picture of it blooming there. And the other thing that I do is, so when I make my bush tea, I take the leaves and I put the leaves there to biodegrade, and if there's some left that I've, like, it's been overnight kind of thing, what I'll do is I'll throw that water onto the food plants. So the rosemary, I've got a date palm that's growing, and my broadleaf thyme, and I've got in a pot some turmeric. And so what I do is harvest the leaves, and I use the leaves, just, you don't even need a whole leaf, just a part of a leaf, and that will make a nice flavoured tea. And I mix that with the black tea. I still do like my cup of tea. And so, yeah, the mango leaf, the noni leaf, and the soursop, what I've been finding does help boost my immune system. And I also add to that the moringa. So I use moringa in food, and I also use it, so when I cut the stalks, which I'll show you, we'll go out into the garden for a bit and you can just enjoy it while the grass has been cut, and just, I'll show you some of these plants if you're not familiar, and if this is your first time, welcome. Sorry to just throw you into the deep end, but yeah, this is just a space, a chill space, and it's about creativity. It's about the impact of art and creativity and the impact on our health and well-being. And if you partake in a creative activity, that will help ease your blood pressure, help boost your immune system, because over time, if you're not so stressed, then you know your all of the kind of chemical reactions that are going on in your body, stress that are stress related, are not necessarily happening because you're, again, calming, being in a calming situation, being in a meditative situation, and you're using visual arts or writing or whatever it is, poetry, to express yourself in a way that you may not have been able to verbalize that. Yeah, so that's really what it's all about, and it's about taking the time out. And this is just a space that, for me, I need it. So, yeah, it's about finding what your pace is and your rhythm, and being flexible. And it's actually knowing yourself. It's knowing what is it that you need, what is it that you want to express. And again, if you can't verbally express that, what things have you got to hand that you can enable yourself to do that? Or, have you got a song that you play and then you just get up and dance? Or do you write? Or, there's so many things, going out into the garden, and that's my, that's my second best thing that I really enjoy doing. So, I would encourage you, even if you don't have a garden, you can get a pot plant. You can get some plants that are already established in a pot, and or the dwarf variety, or you can, things like the basil, the peppermint, the rosemary. You can buy those in store and have them on your windowsill or outside your door, or wherever it is that you can find space in your bathroom or whatever. And having plants around is also really good for your health and well-being, because we know that the plants breathe in our carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. And so when you go out into a green space, you feel just that kind of feeling. And if you don't need to take your shoes off anyway. Or even if you go to places like, like the beach or the seaside, if you're in a cooler climate, colder climate, the snow. But it's about reconnecting with nature, because without the natural world, we wouldn't be here. We couldn't survive. And you think of conditions where people are, where they've not been exposed to sunlight, they're bedridden, and they're not, the people who are taking care of them do not understand how they said even through the glass, having the sun on your skin impacts. But I would say if you can get out there, get some fresh air, because the air in the room gets stale after a while. So if you're not opening windows, if you're not getting that breeze so your skin can feel the contrast of either, whether it's the heat, the sun in the morning, the breeze, the cool, the cold. And it's not to say that, if you're vulnerable and, you're ill, that you should be placed in, those diverse kind of temperatures. But, just like, even if it's to walk around the block, or to be, if you've got a wheelchair, to go around the block, or just to experience the contrast. And I know that I couldn't live without some sort of green in my life, and I've lived in a variety of different environments where I have just had a balcony which is probably double the size of my desk. When I was younger, we lived in apartments, or it's known as council flats, and the balcony was, so the width was double the width of my desk, and the length was probably double the length. But my mum filled it with plants, and in the house we had plants all on the window ledges, everywhere there was plants. So you didn't feel as if you were lacking, because, you know, then me and my brother would go out playing in the, I guess call it yard, or the it was all paved over, you know, there was just parking for the residents, and but we had access if we went further. Like where I went to school, we had, it was called Parliament Hill. So we had the fields, and then that backed onto Hampstead Heath. So every day, like, our school was set in those, overlooking that, so you could have access to that. And at the weekends, that was something that my parents would encourage us to. We would just go off on adventures as long as we were back by a certain time. We had our bikes, we had some, either we had some change, or we had some sort of, you know, whether it was sweets or a little snack that we could have. And so me and my brother would, Robert, he's no longer with us, but we would have some really amazing, when I look back at it now, it's just like we had such a blessed time. So yeah, so if you've only got a pot, get some herbs, use them in your cooking, use them in some herbal tea. If you've got some seeds, plant them. Again, even if you've only just got a pot, you know, but you want to have the untainted foods and herbs and things like that, untainted by herbicides and pesticides. Yeah, well, herbicides will kill them, but pesticides. So so that's why it's important to make the most of what you can do. And there's no reason to, like, you might have foxes in your environment, you might have cats in your environment. What can you do to deter them? Because you will be you need to grow something. Yeah, in this day and age, it is it is vital that we all grow something. And even if you just get one of those, so the next place that I moved, there was a garden, but I mostly grew flowers, and there was a plum tree. But then I got myself a little greenhouse thing. It was like 4 shelves, and it had a plastic covering. So I could put, you know, seeds, I could grow microgreens and things like that. So wherever you are, think about how it is you could fit plants into your life, because, or go somewhere, you know, or go to a park on a daily basis, go to a green space, and just, yeah, take off your shoes and just allow your feet to rest in the coolness of the grass, or go to the beach if it's a rocky beach, then just put your feet in the water. You know, obviously you might not want to swim there, and it could be quite cold to fully immerse yourself, but just get out there and enjoy the space and what you can have access to. Because, as I was saying, you know, back to the person who is isolated in their home, you see it on their, you know, the vitamin D levels. Obviously you're not getting that from the sun, you're not getting the nutrients that you need, your bone density drops, your immune system drops, and there's a whole host of illnesses that come when you don't expose yourself to the sun, you know, and you don't you know, get out there, even walk around, breathe in and all of that. And, you know, we're also in environments where you can, you know, there's not much regulation for a lot of the things that people would use to spray the environment. But, you know, some people don't have any regard for the consequences of that on the environment and on the food you eat. Like, there was another person that was spraying in the vicinity, and I was just like, you know, we actually grow organically, and all he said was, oh, that's nice for you. Anyway, so the green space, that's something that you need to get access to. So what is the word for the month? Or what is, it's not just the word for the month, it's what's the word, because I feel that the words that we're given is interchangeable dependent on the circumstances. The word today is build, and asking the question, what are you building? You know, we've come into a new year, and you've come into the new year with desires, dreams, goals, and, you know, things that you want to do. But what are you building? And asking that question means, well, what do I need to put in place for me to start building? So being towards the latter end of the month, how much time have you got? Are you trying to build in the first quarter, which is 3 months, or the first month, or the first 2 months? You know, what's your time frame? And what is it you're trying to build? And what does it look like? How will it impact the world? How will it impact your life or your local community? And what are the things that you need to learn in order to be able to build to the exact specifications that in your mind you might think, oh yeah, I want to do this. There's this thing that I want to do. But when you remove all the components, what are those things that hold it together, that make it what it is? And so are there things that you need to learn? Are there things that you need to let go of? These are things that we, you know, need to think about. And how long have you estimated that this thing's going to take? Because back to the garden, you know, I've recently been growing. Let's go out, yeah? And I'll touch on some of the things that I've talked about. But I've been growing some mangoes. I harvested the mangoes, and they're called, I think their official name is Pierre Louis, and in Barbados they're called Pawi mangoes. And yeah, let's go and check some of them out. Okay, I said I was going to show you the rosemary. Look, it looks so happy in here. And these things are, let me show you what that is. It's this fern, and they have the seeds. Yeah, so it's a fern, very fine fern. And I threw the seeds in that pot at Cole. She's come out from under the table. So what I need to do is remove them. Now they've sprouted, and put them in a different pot. But look at my rosemary. It's provided me with lots of yummy, delicious tea, and the smell as well is also thought to have a good impact on improving your memory. This is my date palm. It's looking a bit kind of sad because it needs to be removed. There's 3 seeds in here that started to grow. The root system is just like, oh my gosh, it's coming through the bottom. So I need to put that in the soil as soon as possible. There you go. Didn't have to tell him twice to come out into the garden. Ooh, breathe in. Breathe out. Ooh, prickly pear. So the snails and the slugs are attacking this, but even the pads apparently can be eaten. And there's a particular dish that you can do to cook them. But I've had the pear itself, and it is a really delicious, very sweet red. And I want this to grow really big. I've seen some really big ones. And I guess some people don't know that they can be eaten, but once they've ripened, it's such a lovely fruit. Let's go and check on the mango tree. So we'll just take a little mosey on down. So in this section, I think I've said I grew 3 mango trees, grew them from seed. And that's what makes it even more, look at this spider web, oh my gosh. I keep telling the spiders, I don't know whether you can see it, I keep telling the spiders though, please not across the path. You know, you can grow anywhere else. So what I try and do is just gently move it over. Oops, it's still on my hand. So I don't know whether you can vaguely see it, but it's across here now. Yeah, I try and tell them, don't go across the paths. You know, you've just got all of this. You can. Anyway, do they listen? So there's a mango tree here growing up. There's two trees here, the apple blossom, and then you got the mango. So this one I didn't get to cut. I'm trying to keep them low, so that they can be harvested easily. So trying not to grow them any taller than this one. Although these two, they've all been grown roughly the same time, but these two aren't fruiting yet. And it's this one here, which we've got two trees here, which initially I didn't think, I thought it was just one. But here's a little one that's left on there. And we've got this one. Ooh, you are ready to be picked. So I'm going to just take that off. And it has all of this stuff that comes out of it. But this will ripen up. This will go yellow. I've got some others that I picked like this. And they, it only took them a day. Yeah, but this is the tree. I think there's one more, or maybe a couple more up there that I can't get to, but then I thought, okay, the monkeys can have that. There's one over there. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, and so I likened the growth of this, which took 5 years to get to this point where I've got the fruit now. It took 5 years. And had I listened to those who said, you know, why do you want to grow mango? Do you know how long it takes? Or laughed at the idea, or laughed even at the idea of having an environment like this. This has been watch where I'm going. This has been 7 years of working every day. Every day to grow the things that I never imagined that I could grow. And, you know, moringa was one of them. It was just like, oh my gosh, cassava, avocado. Look, here's a small avocado. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got one larger avocado tree, and I think maybe next year that will start fruiting. And then I planted these because I hate throwing the seeds away, and these have come up. Palm trees, ones that I found the seeds. These are tiny. The birds dropped these, but I've got to move them so that they can be in the place that I want. Bay leaf, bitter ginger, tropical black sage, almond, henna. So it was like, time's going to pass anyway. So what are you going to do in that time? Are you just going to sit and say, oh, you know, no, I can't grow this because it takes too long? Or are you going to do it anyway? And if you're still in that space, then when it starts to mature, look at aloes. I never thought I could grow aloes to this. I mean, they do quite a lot of the work themselves. But I place them in the spot and give them the different type of environment. This side of the garden, as I've shown in other videos, is very shaded. This one, I just wanted to see how big it could grow. Look at it. It's amazing. Guinea, or Bajans call it Aki. But it was just to have that kind of adventure, and I call myself a steward of the land. You know, it's my responsibility to take care of it to the best of my ability and leave it better than I found it. There we got the guava there. But it's just really to remind yourself that, again, it doesn't matter what you have, whether it is that you just have a pot or a container, a water bottle container. You know, there's something that you can grow. So, how was that? I thought I would just, we'll just have a little spin out there. But even that, even to be able to, if you don't have it, to be able to see it and to be able to experience it even from a distance is something. But I do encourage you, like, even a pot, get yourself some greens sitting there, a small low maintenance plant. I mean, start with something even like a cactus. I started with a cactus when I left my mother's home. When I left home, I started with a cactus, and I had that cactus for a good 20 years, and it grew, oh my gosh, it grew really big. It was a beautiful one. And then I let a friend look after it for a bit, and anyway, you know, when you give it to somebody who's not really a house plant person, or who has a garden but doesn't really tend to it, or, you know, it is about nurture. See, the plants, most of the plants, depending on what they are. Oh, I just remembered, I was given a orchid plant that kind of attaches itself to the tree, and so I hooked it there, but I'm not sure whether I should have wrapped it with wrapped it with something that was water, that water could absorb it, so that it would give it a chance for it to kind of, I mean, they said it likes full sun, so I'm hoping that it's going to survive where it is. But I just want to know if I need to wrap the roots with and then just spray it until it's kind of established there. But I put it just outside the studio, so I'm looking forward to that kind of developing. So with the word build, think about all those areas in your life that need building, that need the foundation, that need to have things in place so that you can move on to the next stage. And sometimes you might not even know what that is, but it's to do with, say, you know, are you using your gifts as you should? Like, are you making the most of each and every day and the things that you can do? Are you making the most of the things that you can learn? Are you learning anything? What new thing are you going to be learning this month? And put it in place. And even if it is just, you know, the time's going to go anyway, so you might as well be doing something. The time is going to go, and before you look at it, you know, you'll be a year down the line. We'll be in 2027, and you'll think, gosh, yeah, Amanda said I should have done something in January, and look, a whole year has passed and I haven't put anything in place. So it's not only, it's for change, for development, progress, and to make the most of the environment that you're in, and we impact on our community, and there's that ripple effect that, you know, the things that I do are gonna kind of impact on you in some way, whether it is that you just watch and you may feel inspired, or you think she's stirred something in my mind, but I don't agree with her, but at least I've stirred something in your mind. Innit? Or maybe I show you a technique, or maybe, you know, you haven't got a garden, and just going out in that garden space, even though it was you were watching it, made you feel so good that you thought, let me go out and get a plant. So I want you to really take that seriously, because we should never stop learning. We should never stop reaching our potential. We should never stop being an inspiration, because when we're an inspiration to somebody else, it impacts on our community and it develops the community. And we hope if we all have the, same positive values, that a lot of it's not being shown at the moment around the world, that nobody has to be in drought, nobody has to be starving, nobody has to be in a war-torn situation, nobody has to be burying their children or their family members. It's just, we do what we can and then some, because there's always something more that you can do. And even if it is share a message, share an inspiration, share some hope, and if we're all doing that and all trying to make the place better than what we found it, and how we leave it better than how we found it. Yeah, that's always, I've always tried to live to that. I mean, when you're a collector, your environment can be quite full. But I'm now looking at things like, okay, in terms of the fabric, in Material Musings, I talked about the waste and how, we can take anything, scraps or recycled materials, and we can turn it into something, treasure. There's some large-scale installations around the world in, famous museums of bottle caps that have been ordered together, and you can see figures in it. Or there's a load of artists, lots of artists that use recycled material in some ingenious ways. Ingenious, yeah. And it's just amazing. And so it's to look at and see what we've got and what we can, there's a doctor, unfortunately he's passed, but he used to, when I first visited Barbados, I saw an article about his garden. He had a garden made up of, he made large-scale animals from tools, and from the images it was brilliant. So I went there, and unfortunately he had passed, and nobody else continued it. And I walked outside looking in, and I could still see some of the large structures. It was just amazing. And that inspired me more in terms of assemblage art. And so, whether you're living or dead, your work can live on. And what legacy are you leaving behind, and how are you inspiring the next generation? But as I say, he inspired me, and so I look at things differently in terms of, it's broken, but look at this. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do with this, but it's actually, and this is the first time he'll know, it's my son's fan, but it dropped. So the fan bit came off, but it still works. And it does still work. It needs to be charged. Anyway, so, but this bit I was thinking, oh, look, that still works, yeah. And if you can, I don't know, maybe attach something to this. I don't know what it could be. It could just be something in the studio that is useful. This can be unscrewed. So maybe it is that if I can screw something to it, it might be, like the phone thing, or what you're recording, or anyway. So, that's for me to think about. But it was just like, yeah. And I get that from my dad as well, because my dad used to be, he loved making things, and he loved, using the power tools to do different things. He decorated the home. He, got us to help him wallpaper. So we grew up knowing how to do all of those things. Wallpapering a room, painting, sanding, laying carpet. I mean, he did get the neighbours to help, but we were there as well. We were free labour there, you know, waiting. And, you know, whether it was in the beginning we held up something, you know, held up the wallpaper or pasted the wallpaper and then held it up and then he put it up, and then, you know, making sure that all the air bubbles are out and everything. Gosh, yeah, we did quite a bit. And so when I moved out, that was, you know, I just thought everybody did that. Everybody does, you know, if they need new wallpaper or they're going to paint, they just, you know, do it. And then I realised that everybody doesn't. And not everybody grew up in an environment like that, and or sees it as something that, you know, you can do to make changes to your environment. It's like you don't have to wait around on other people to do it and for you, or, you know, if you don't have the money to do it, but you can buy the paint and bit of sandpaper and stuff like that. There are things that you can do to brighten, say, a place up. Or, you know, I can't replace the kitchen cupboard doors, so let me add, you know, sand it down and then add some paint to it. But think about the things, and that's where the building comes in, because what I do also is I'll look at a thing and then try and break it down. How can I, what are the components of this thing that I'm saying I want to do, and what do I need to do first? Obviously, I'm not going to paint when it hasn't been cleaned, sanded, dust-free, as they say, and everything. Otherwise, the paint's not going to stick very well, and it's going to peel quicker than it would have if I'd prepared the foundation better. So sometimes that's what you have to do. And if you say things like I'd like to read a lot more this year, and so rather than setting myself a target of 25 books in the year, maybe I do 12. You know, maybe I do one a book a month, and mix it up with some, because I do like factual books and books where you learn a skill. So and then I would, in terms of the work that I do, if I'm learning techniques, then I read a lot of those books. But I'd like to just, you know, maybe throw some novels in. And that reminds me, so there's an author, one of my favourites, Zora Neale Hurston, and I've got quite a lot of her books. Back in the day, I was a ferocious reader, and so her, Anne Petrie, Octavia Butler, Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, all of them. And I met Maya Angelou, did I tell you? She came, I used to work for a bookshop called Grassroots, and in Ladbroke Grove, and she, it's Ladbroke Grove and Westbourne Park in England, yeah? So we did a book signing, and she came, she was so tall. I mean, I'm 5'8", and she was taller than that, and it was just, she had such a presence to her. And so we had, yeah, it was just a small book signing. I just like, oh my gosh, she was a real life author. But that was a moment. So I'm going to go back into my boxes and dig out some of these books that I haven't read for many moons. And there's some that I haven't even read. So it'd be just like I've said in Material Musings, go shopping in your, or was it the last Arts and Wellness Cafe? Anyway, but go shopping in your supply. It's time to go shopping in my books, because I do love books, and having books around. And unfortunately, a lot of them I've tried to keep them protected because of the yellowing and, you know, that kind of stuff. Like that. But I wanted to share the one of the things that I've been sharing this week was the journals. And previously, so at the beginning, no, that was it. It was December, was the 10th of December, which is also my mother's birthday. It was the date in 1964 when Martin Luther King got his Nobel Peace Prize. And the 19th of this month, even though his birthday was on the 15th, I think, the 19th of this month was a federal holiday in the States where they celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday. Yes, so I had done these images in my journal. So and I really enjoyed doing them. Done a few. And so this was the last couple one. This was the one I did to celebrate. We have an art collaboration, so I did that for the art collaboration, and then it coincided with his birthday on the 19th. Yeah. So my theme for that month. Sorry, my cushions dropped. My theme for this month was that it's, you know, in celebration of his birthday. So I did that. And it's also about remembering, because they leave a legacy. You know, if he hadn't, then we wouldn't. If he hadn't done and stood up for all the things that he did, then, and all the other men and women who sacrificed and, you know, lost their lives because, and you think to yourself, gosh, you know, what are we doing now? You know, I don't want to lose my life for my belief and for standing up and all of this, but what are we doing to make that impact? And we just really have to think about it. What are the issues that people are facing that we can do something about or speak up about it? And, you know, what are the things happening even in your local community that you never even really thought? There's loads of things that I never really thought happened in a variety of different places, just because you've always seen it in one way. And it isn't until you peel back the layers that you actually see, actually, there's a lot of things festering in this space, you know, under the radar, that isn't glaring in your face. Like I just watched it was a video this guy did about, it's like the underbelly of Dubai, and how a lot of these workers from very poor countries will be offered these opportunities. They have to pay like $3,000 to sign up for some company. They finally arrive there and they're shipped off outside the desert to these like barracks, I don't know, where the sleeping conditions like 10 to a room, no proper sewage system, no breaks. They're working, you know, from 4 a.m. till 11 p.m. and they're working in really harsh, terrible conditions. Their passports taken away, and if they want to go on a holiday back to, like, they've now built up a lot of debt because they had to loan money to get the ticket to go. Then when they get there, their passports are taken away for processing, and then a lot has been found to have been mistreated, again living in harsh conditions. And if they want to take leave, like one guy his brother died and he wanted to come back for 2 days back to India, I think it was, and his boss had to sign, his manager had to sign, and one of his co-workers had to sign. And what they said is that if he doesn't return, then these two people who've co-signed will lose pay for a month, each of them. And it's just like, what kind of conditions are these? You know, you're building these massive, big structures that the rich and the wealthy, it's their playground. And you've got people who, you know, are living in poverty, who are building these structures. And they were talking about the loss of life. The amount of people on the job, like, you know, and the amount of people after these big sky risers, skyscrapers are built, the amount of people that took their life, that was just like one woman, then they went on to, you know, domestic in homes, and it's just like the conditions that the people, the way they treat the people who then come and work with them, you know, working 18 hours, hardly any food, beaten, abused, and it's just terrible. But people go tax-free havens and they don't see that side of it, you know, because the other thing they were saying, where the workers are, you'll never even know, because they're shipped out like, you know, an hour outside of the city that tourists wouldn't be going, and there's like a complicit kind of acceptance between the people who have money because they want to keep their money and the environment that they live in, and yet you don't see that is that underbelly of just total nastiness. It's just like, why? It's greed. So it's greed, you know, the money that these contractors make, and they basically hold families hostage to have to pay back these loans that they've taken out. You know, they leave and hope to, you know, work and send money back to their family, and the only thing that comes back is their coffin, if that. You know, it's probably not. It doesn't. Anyway, so the reality is that, you know, there are many things going on that we have to see what impact we can make. We have to see how we can be part of the solution rather than add to the problem. Hence my thinking about the waste and thinking about how I contribute to waste and how I need to look at what I have and how they can be repurposed, either as a art piece out in the garden, or, you know, a tool like looking at the plants, like how can I make my own dyes, you know, make my own fibers from the plants, wear more natural fibers, and that the impact of man-made fibers on your body. I mean, I had this, my neighbour gave me some fabric. She's making these curtains, but the curtains are made from, it's this fabric that is a man-made fibre, and when you cut it, there is so much shedding. It's just like, just from me cutting, did I bring any over here? No, but just from me cutting it, the amount of fibres, it's just like, I don't know how much I breathed in. They're really fine, and no, because I did it next door, didn't I? When I looked at my computer, here's one of the fibres. Yeah, and look how when you cut that just like, you got all of that and all of those tiny that's how they do it, all of those tiny fibers. It's just like, that's crazy. So I was just like, I really can't, whatever I use this for has to be something where it doesn't involve me cutting this up, maybe and something that it doesn't get dirty, like, you know, it's not your, I don't know, wiping your feet on them or whatever, but something that it doesn't touch your skin. It can be stitched maybe in some way, because now I don't want the responsibility of having to throw that in the bin, because it's just like, that is just gonna be, you know, that's not gonna biodegrade, and what impact on the environment is that going to have? So I have been thinking a lot more about my impact on the environment and what I can do. So let's look at tip of the week. Tip of the week. Tip of the week. And the tip of the week is keep tending to your dreams because they soon come. Soon come. That's how I'm sure I've heard my dad say that. Soon come. Because it's like, as I said out there in the garden, time is going to go anyway. Time without you even doing anything. So if you keep tending to your dreams, whatever it is your dreams are, and that you put the things in place, it's not like, I want somebody to fall in love with me, kind of thing. Like it's not that you're trying to make impact on the will of somebody else, but it might be that, like, I want to learn how to teach on my own online course platform. So what kind of things do you need to do that? Or I want to learn how to paint with acrylics. So it could be that, okay, let me go and take some lessons. Let me find somebody local. Let me save up if I need to. Let me take some lessons. Let me start practicing. Let me look at the different types of acrylics and art materials there are. And you do that. Let me practice. Let me get a book so that if I'm not able to do a live course, let me, go through the book and go through the exercises. So, keep tending to those things that need to be done, because they're not going to happen on their own. And it's not like, oh yes, you hear people who, it's that phrase, what is it? The universe. And it's just like, so if the universe allows, it's just going to happen. So what's your part? What do you do? What do you need to do? You're just going to sit there, and there's just like, because you've put it out there and said it, somehow these things, I'm looking, it looks like there's a monkey out there. Maybe he's gone to get that. Maybe he's gone to get the other little tiny mango I left on the tree. Anyway, so yeah, think about what are the steps you need to take, and take them. And in the last episode, I shared that there was 2 chicks up there, and the mother was feeding them. They're now grown and gone off. So she's left all her stuff up there. So I'm going to leave it there, see if another bird comes, or if she comes back. I don't know how many eggs, whether they have more than 2 chicks in their lifetime. I don't know. I've been part of a online course. It was called Creative Vision, and I did a session called Art Journal for Vision and Goals. And it was basically to look at using creativity. So I guess it's not similar to, I guess it is similar in one sense to, like, if you had a vision board, but it's not that you're sticking stuff up. So you're doing a creative activity, you're creating these tags, and on the back of the tag, you're going to write that particular thing that you want to focus on. Like for me, creativity. So I want to look at more nurturing activities that I can do. So just like I said, reading. I'm reading some of the books that I've had, and some of the books that, at the time I just wasn't ready for. So I accept that. I accepted that at the time. You're just not ready for this. So maybe when you get older, you can you have the patience to read it, and it's just about recognizing, well, what are the things that I want to do? Where are the things that I want to focus on? Another one was planning. So I like making lists. I like creating systems, but I don't enough follow through with using the systems. So I've got the systems, but sometimes I fall away, and then oh, what am I going to do today? I know I've got loads of different things to do today, but I'm not sticking to the plan that will give me a guaranteed outcome, so those are some of the things that that I did in this course, and it's available on my course platform. It will be available on the course platform, and it will have some other things that you can look at as well. It gives you that activity to, like, okay, well, these are the tools I need to create the elements so that I can write down what the things I want to do, or my goals, or the dreams. And then there are other things that you can do, like, you know, in terms of art journals, you can have an art journal where you're inspiring yourself, you're putting encouraging words, you're leaving yourself notes, you're journaling in them. I'm working on this particular one at the moment, so I've just added some stuff, but I wanted to make it pop a bit more, because when I looked at it, I was thinking, yeah, you know, it's okay, but it's not doing what I want it to do. So I'm going back over it. How many summers have you got left? So this is another 2 that I'll be working on. But these are what your journals can do. They can help you gather your thoughts. On one of the pages, I've just added images and journaling. So these are some of the my Patreon papers, and what I've done is created a page where I've just journaled, and I've just written things that came to me, things that I was thinking about that I want to address. And these are spaces that you can, or things that you just need to get off your chest, and that's what, you know, change. A journal, my art journal, got a variety of different ones, can actually do. They can be like a holding space of your thoughts, of your reflections, and your ideas to then move forward. But I'm gonna leave it there now, and wish you farewell, but wish you a time of inspired growth, because now's the time. You know, there's lots that we have to do, there's lots to be done, and we have to get ourselves ready to be able to step up, and to be able to, we've got to strengthen ourselves. You know, we haven't been training, we haven't been developing those gifts and skills that we have within, and so now's the time to actually put those the systems that you need in place. And, you know, it can be as simple as, okay, let me switch off the computer and any social media at 9 o'clock, let me read, let me plan. So it could be just strengthening. You know, think about the word build. What is it I need to build? How do I build my health? How do I build a nurturing space in my environment? How do I build space to grow my own food? How do I build to make sure that the soil has got all the nutrients? How do I build so that my environment is one that is peaceful? How do I build so that, you know, in my community, there isn't anybody that is isolated or doesn't have anything to eat? One of the main things I want to come out of the garden is to be able to bring together, I think I said this before, but just another reminder, food bags, food boxes, fruit boxes kind of thing. And, you know, making it so that people can afford fresh, organic fruit. It's not easy out there. It's not easy out there in the garden, but once everything, do you imagine everything growing and everything, just the fruit just in abundance. So maybe in the next few months we'll have some guava, maybe September or April, because I know that the mangoes have 2 seasons. Yeah, so we've got to get ready. Yeah, so word for this month, or a word for this month, is build. And sit on it however you feel, and just reflect on that and see what comes up for you. Okay, so take care and thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.